Today, we're looking at a red ink by Monteverde Valentine Red. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. There's timestamps down below so that you can skip around, but if you got the time, I would appreciate you if you check out the entire video. You can follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here and like fountain pen ink reviews, I would remind you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Italics brand Chaplin's Tankard Oblique Italic Nibbed. I wrote with it for the day. I then used it to take the notes for this video. This first writing sample is done on a standardized set of paper of Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia. There are additional writing samples later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it came in a vial like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X 450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X 750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Medium is lighter than the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, a very nice peppering of dark spots through all of the words, the X in fox, the N in brown, the K, the Q, the, nice, 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby for the extra fine shows no color variation, the medium does, and that's what we got in the writing. Tomoe River. No bleeding, minor Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a lot lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 9 seconds to dry. Medium is about the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, a very nice shading here. I think the thicker lines helped it come out. 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine shows no color variation. The medium shows a little, and it showed in the writing. And Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is just a tad darker than the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both are showing very little color variation, although none of it's showing up in the writing. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this is a true prime red. It pushes its way watered down, moving slowly and gathering at the top. The one on the right that I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water, yes, there's a little bit of a line that's kind of forming a little, but it's largely looking the same, except for the fact that I've marked the filter paper with the letter D. I expect no resistance from this ink. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I am shocked at how well this did. I would feel confident using this in a note-taking situation because none of the letters that got hit with that highlighter had any kind of negative response 3 days later. This is pretty good. I'm impressed. Especially when you see what happens with water, which is completely lifting this off the page. A lot of white of the paper coming through. Water's all it took for me to clean my pen. Pen Flush does everything that water does, nothing more, because water's killing it. And a 1/3 bleach solution, you're not going to need it, but it completely obliterates it off the paper. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Now I'm going to link the video that shows how I do my testing and calculations. Monteverde's Valentine Red has a viscosity of 1.22, making this, holy crap, it's almost water wet. 1 is water. This is 1.22. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average all of those. Now for the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Monteverde's Valentine Red has an average dry time of 9 seconds, making it a fast dry ink. Instead of finding inks that look like Monteverde's Valentine Red, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went for a nice blue and chose Robert Oster's Australian Sky. The second writing sample is done on North Books, Fabriano, and Nemesine paper. Here we're looking at North Books paper. Not really known for its fountain pen friendliness, but it did pretty well with no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 had no feather spread halo sheen and no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 2 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and still 2 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both are showing us no color variation and we don't get it in the writing. Fabriano. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 5 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, a very light peppering of shading going on. Look at how different the beginning of jumps to the end of jumps is. Look at what's going on in the word brown. Nice. 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine shows no color variation, the medium shows some, and that's the light peppering we get in the medium writing. And Nemesine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1, no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, a very light peppering of shading through all of the words, 6 seconds to dry. It's just not huge changes, but look at the word brown, look at the word quick, look at the word fox. It's in all of them, and in little bits. It's quite nice. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, still that same great shading that we were getting with the extra fine, and 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us some color variation far left to far right, and that's what we got in the writing. And that is all that I have for writing samples. So what do I think of Monteverde's Valentine Red? Like many reds, it doesn't offer shading in the writing, not really at all. But it does offer some tone variation depending on the pen that you choose. I don't care for a lot of reds. I probably really wouldn't care for using this one a lot for that reason. Not that it's bad, just red is really difficult for me to get. So what nib and pen is going to give the best writing experience with this ink? I think that the softer tone given by a drier pen makes this red look much more pleasant. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.